inspired to push through? Because there's a spark in you. Breakthrough or bust.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Breakthrough or Bust. I am so glad you are here. So this is episode 20. And I thought this would be a really nice time to sort of go back and revisit, what is the purpose of this show and the people who have been here. And, I mentioned it a lot, and I usually put it in the description that, break down before the breakthrough is a lot like those transitional contractions when you're having a baby. It's what, before that, there was sort of a rhythm. Every couple minutes, there'd be a contraction, you breathe through it, you get through it, right? Right before that baby comes, though, there are those transitional contractions where it's just like, and there's no rhyme or rhythm, and it hurts and it's crazy. And that's what breakdown can feel like. It can be, it could just be the stuff in your life. It can be technology. It could just be everything all happening at once. And, when you're having that baby, you don't really get to back down. Like biology takes over and you're done. It's happening. When you are birthing a new version of you, it's really easy to step back at this point, to say, I'm out. This hurts too much. I don't like it. But unfortunately, what happens is it repeats these scenarios in different ways and with different people, or whatever it is, it will repeat until you finally break through and you step through to that newer version until you heal it. So Breakthrough or Bust is here to share stories and inspiration to help you keep pushing through, right? Because there's a spark in you. And I feel like a lot of times it can feel lonely, when you're going through your breakdown and everything is crap and you're experiencing all of this stuff. It can be really isolating and really lonely. And you feel like, well, I'm the only person who's ever gone through this, who's ever had this challenge. And what I love about this, and the people who come here and share their stories, is it helps you feel not so alone. Like, oh, other people have gone through this, other people have come from alcoholic families, or other people have experienced traumas, sexual abuse. You name it. We have had in these 20 episodes, so many people come up and share stories that, cover the gambit, grief and trauma and toxic relationships and just all of these different things to show you that you are not alone. You are not alone, and that we are all here in this together. We are one collective. We're all connected, and we've got each other. And, if you're amongst people who don't have you, that's okay. That's okay. Just back away. That's all. And know that there are people who do. They're there for you. So I wanted to, just revisit the whole purpose of this at episode 20, and to really celebrate the people, men and women, actually. I think we've got one man who came forward and shared a story with us at this point, and, more to come, to share their experiences and to be vulnerable for a little while. And for some, it's been, what has made them walk into their life purpose, their breakdowns is what has inspired them to go on and help others. And so they have come to not only share their story, but to share how they can support you. Or, of course, I'm always here to support you, but whoever you go to, just know there is someone to support you. Find who resonates. And with that, I'm actually going to tell another one of my stories. In the past, I've told my story about toxic being in a toxic relationship, or relationships really for that matter. And ultimately so much gratitude, because that is what pushed me to really heal. It would have been easy to just keep repeating the cycle and just, let me get out of that one, and, get myself, nice and sturdy and stable again, and then repeat, right? Slowly but surely repeat. And so if it weren't for that, I would not have gone back and did the healing and, the inner work, the inner child work, the worthiness work, all of the work that I needed to do to continue to step forward into, the queen that I am, the goddess that I am, right? That higher version of myself. And of course, I'm still on the path to that. I'm not there just yet. I don't know. Maybe we don't quite get there until the end. So, that's why it's so important to enjoy the journey. But another one of my stories, and this is one I've been promising on my lives for a little while now, it's my money story. And this one was kind of a big one for me. And so, as you know, we go on the show totally unscripted. So bear with me, because, usually I guide. And so if I'm just going unscripted, who knows where I'll go. But so bear with me today. And I'm, I've asked that I can be as direct as possible to share with you exactly what you need to hear. So as far as money, a lot of our relationship with money stems in childhood. And I experienced very opposite sides of the coin. I had a parent that really did well, spent money like a rapper, and then recession hit. And it hurt. It hurt bad. And so, really witnessing that, seeing your parent who you kind of see as a superhuman, who's always so strong and stable, become vulnerable in this one area is a little rattling. And then, I also witnessed a parent that tended to hoard money, squirrel it away, as if it was always going to be gone, like we had to squirrel it, because there was always going to be an emergency or some reason, that like danger, so a lot of unsettling feelings for me about money. And then top that with messages about, not to be an entrepreneur, to go work for somebody else that's more stable, to use your brain, not your body to work, to use to know that like if you were going to be in business for yourself, that you would be working all the time and you'd have to work so hard and not make money, and you can't do what you love. Then it would be called play, not work. So forget that. You got to go be responsible and earn a paycheck and support yourself and take care of your family, right? Very, very business. And of course, these messages were given to me out of care, out of love, because obviously, the elder people around you, the parents, the grandparents, all of the people that surround you and support you want the best for you. They want you, we raise adults, we don't raise children. And so they're looking out to make sure that you're going to be the best version of yourself. But unfortunately, some of that program comes from previous programming, these programs that have been sent down over the generations that may not be for our highest good. And whether maybe it was at that time, but times have changed and now it's not, or it's just, again, that thing like the game of telephone, something gets passed down and gets distorted along the way. Not really sure which that is, but ultimately having to recognize that all of these programs, these messages, these subconscious beliefs I had around money were not serving me. They were not for my highest good. And I had to really start working on shifting those. But I tell you what, I had gotten to a point where, I did go to work, I did get involved in human services. I figured, well, that's still a regular paycheck, and I still get to do something that I love, right? I love helping people. I love serving people. It's something that's always called to me. So I kind of felt like I was getting away with something a little bit there, but not totally, because at the same time, human services, nonprofit, it's right there in the words, nonprofit. Sometimes the paycheck is, it's enough to make the bills, but the whole idea of dreaming of a higher income was like not even in my realm of possibility. It was like, this is the work I took on. It's compassionate work. I don't get paid a lot, was the story I told myself. And I didn't. I did okay, and I supplemented with other things too. And but at a certain point I recognized that I had really come to the end of my journey in that field. I was working a job that I loved, absolutely loved, but I knew that it was my last job in that realm. I knew that it was time to move into something else. But being the chicken shit that I am, there was no way I was leaving on my own. So I got pushed out. Okay. The type of work I was doing, a new person came into office. So, we would get contracts from the state, right? From our government offices. And, they lost funding for the work they were doing, which means we weren't getting the money anymore. We weren't getting those contracts. Work really slowed down. And eventually I got laid off. So that was the big universal kick in the arse to push me into. Now, I was already in school. I was already studying coaching, and I knew that I wanted to be more on the proactive end of supporting people than on the reactive end. And, I had so many stories from the work that I did there about, depletion and just how we could have just simple little changes that we could have done. And the person could have thrived instead of being in this really desperate situation. And I knew I wanted to be part of that, like to waken people up and say, whoa, wait a second, before we go too far down, here's what you can do. Here's how, things can be different. Here's how you can not completely be depleted and miserable and hating your life. Like, let's right here, little intervention right here. And so I knew that I wanted to be part of that. Well, I got the push, but it didn't happen right away for me. I did other things to support that and to support myself. I did receive unemployment. I had to go on benefits. I had to get some support. The getting a job in that same field, which I really didn't want to do, but started looking anyway, was not realistic, at that point in time, because again, there had been so many cutbacks, and it was in the entire region. It wasn't just at my employment. So again, that sort of debunks that whole, like, it's more stable to work for others than it is for yourself, right? So I was at least starting to unravel some of the stuff. But I tell you what, I went on a long road of lean years of, having to decide on, like, being able to buy, just the most basic stuff, or buying food, which of course the food came first. Um, it was tight. It was really tight. And truly, I was in a position where, again, we get back into the toxic relationships in your life, where a lot of the money was being sucked away from me in the partnership I was in. Of course, personal responsibility, but there is ultimately that level of, when you've had the toxicity in your life, these are the consequences, right? And so eventually, to the point where I had to declare bankruptcy. And I'm like saying that publicly for the first time. I've shared that with people here and there, but this is the first time I've shared that publicly, that I had to do that. I mean, it was done. I decided to go into a debt management program. It turned out to be garbage. It was not legitimate. And I started getting summons to court from credit card companies. And yeah, that was my only way out at that point. And so that was what I did. And I sort of looked at it like the phoenix rising from the ashes. Okay, fine. Yeah, this sucks. This is pretty much, for someone like me who was always taught, like, being so responsible, honoring your word, honoring your debts, honoring, very much, raised to be honorable. This was like the ultimate dishonor in my mind. And I had to get over that really fast. I had to just accept and say, okay, here's what it is. And I'm going to use this to, rise like a phoenix from the ashes and start fresh and start again. But ultimately, as you know, if you've had a bankruptcy, there's no credit cards to support you. There are, you've got to build the savings at this point, and which you probably have not, because you've been paying into the debt all this time. So now it's like this really scary, okay, so now I've got no savings and no emergency fund and no backup to that with a credit card or anything like that. And this was about the time when I did decide to break out of my toxic relationship. And so now it's like all on me, which, it was, but for some reason there's that other, I don't know, your mind does funny things, doesn't it? And even though it had always been on me, and really technically it was one less person that I was supporting, my mind did this weird thing, like that was one less level of support. I don't know why. And now here I am in this place that costs a little more money, no backup, no emergency, and sweating it every month when the rent was due, like scared. The whole end of the month, beginning, the grace period days there, right? Just waking up at like 3 a.m., cold sweats kind of thing, just crap, shit, what am I going to do? And each month, right in the nick of time, it would roll in, right in the nick of time. And I'd, and then we'd start the cycle again. As we got to like mid-month, started getting a little nervous, a little further in the month, started clenching a little bit more. And this repeated for a couple months until finally I said, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm basically living in this stress and misery every single month, or at least 3/4 of the month, over the money coming in. And then it always does. It always shows up. So why am I doing this to myself? Okay, from now on, when I have these feelings, I'm just going to stop, breathe, and say, it's coming. I have faith. I'm going to, like, the divine became my security blanket. That became my emergency fund instead of money. I decided to have faith that everything was happening for me. And I got to tell you, that crap is not easy when you are in desperation mode. And I get that. And I know, like, I coach people on this all the time when they're feeling tight with the money. And I'm like, you have to trust me. I know, I've been there. This is when you have to let go and be in faith. When it feels the tightest, when it feels the most strangling, right? The most like, I can't breathe. What am I going to do? And the last thing you want to do is let go. But that's when you got to let go. It's crazy. It's almost like this this cruel joke, you know, because I tell you what, when I let go, it started flowing in better. I wasn't waiting till the end of the month. Nothing changed. Nothing changed with my work, with the amount I was earning. But for some reason, it just started coming in sooner. People weren't holding on sending me the payments that they owed me. It just flowed in. And now I didn't have to be in that famine mode, that lax mindset. You know, I was, oh, it's coming in. And then something else weird happened. Once I started to get even more comfortable that, oh, no worries, it comes right away, it's coming, more came. And in that first year of doing that, I doubled my income. And then the next year after that, I don't think I quite doubled, but I was close. Like I was pretty close to doubling again. And then, oh no, actually, yeah, almost doubled. And then I did it again to where I finally now have hit an amount that quite a few years ago, I wrote myself a check and I taped it to the wall, right? Like, this is what I want. This is what I want to pay myself. And, you know, year after year, it didn't happen for quite a few years. And I just took it down. I said, you know what? I'm not motivated by a dollar amount. I'm motivated by what I'm going to do with that. How will I show up in the world and make a difference? What will I do for my family? What will I do for myself? That's probably the most important, honestly. But sometimes when we're still in that weird place, that's not our biggest motivator just yet. So I focused on the others, and that's what happened. Like, I just started to focus on what would my life look like? And of course, a big part of that was going places and doing things, because I wanted my children to see more of the world than just their little corner. I think that it expands your mind and your point of view and your empathy for others. And that was a big, big motivation for me. And your understanding for others too. So that was a really big one for me. And what ended up happening was, not only did I hit that amount that I wrote on the check, I mean, we ended up taking a bunch of trips this year that just sort of happened. And it was amazing. And we had those experiences and we got to meet different people and see new places and just have that all happen. And I really bring it all the way back to that morning that I sat there on the edge of my bed and I said, that's enough of this. I am not going to torture myself anymore. I'm going to stay in faith and know that it's coming, because I've got to let go and just trust. I've got to do it. I've got to do it. And that's what started to unroll the entire thing, the entire story. And, you know, yeah, there's a lot of people out there making a whole lot more than me. Okay. But I got to tell you, when you come from like rock bottom basement depletion, damn, it feels like $1 million. Okay. So, you know, I say that about weight too, right? Like, sometimes we don't honor people who might be thin and have gained weight and feel uncomfortable in their body. It doesn't matter what weight you are, what size you are, when there's that change, you feel it. You feel it, whether it's a decrease, an increase, right? Same thing with your money. It doesn't matter that somebody who does what you do made $1 million. Good on them. And you seeing that is an indication that, you know what? I'm holding space for that. And I'm going to celebrate them, because you're telling the universe you welcome that, right? So that's okay to see that. That's inspiration. Don't discount what you've done. Don't discount, even if it's like a couple extra dollars, like, and you're just seeing some traction. You're seeing some light. You're seeing things decongest, the path unfolding for you. That's a celebration, and you've got to celebrate it. So I am feeling a little vulnerable. Money is something we've been taught not to talk about. And once again, on Breakthrough or Bust, we're saying to hell with that. And we're going to talk about the things that we've been told not to talk about. Again, going back to the beginning, so you know that you're not alone. And I tell you, I'm feeling a little more ease again, but I've been moving right into a new level again. And so feeling that discomfort, feeling that, and that's been a big part of it, is once again, back to that letting go. And it's just when it feels the heaviest, when it feels the most constricting, when it feels just horrible. First of all, that's the sign that your thoughts are not in alignment with you or what the divine wants for you. So it's time to let go. And you have no idea how much I know how hard that is. Okay. Trust me. I know. And it's simple in theory. It's challenging in practice, but you can do it. And it is so much better on the other side. I want you to have faith in that. It is so much better, whatever you're going for. It is better on the other side. Never doubt that. And, even if you want to go back, you're like, you know what? I liked it back there better. Great. Now you have new wisdom. Now you have new resources. Now you have more to go back. You're going back with more. So no matter what, even if you don't like it, you can always go back. Right? So have that faith. Just step into it. My love, I hope this is helpful for you. I would love to hear from you. If you need support, reach out, whether it be to me, message me, or, check me out at imperfectlyamazing.com. If you have seen somebody on one of these podcasts or shows, reach out to them. If you have someone in your life that you truly respect and know that they have your best interest, sometimes where it gets a little bit challenging with the people in your life is they see your outer, right? When you're doing that inner change, it takes a little while for the outer to catch up. So sometimes when it's people who are close to you, they're still seeing the previous version of you, and they're not pushing you into the newer version of you just yet. But that doesn't mean that that's always the case. There are people who have that kind of support, and that is amazing. Reach out to them. Just know that you are worth being supported. You are worth an investment in yourself, energetic, money, time, whatever it is. And you are worth having everything you desire, right? Desire is my word of the year, so you're going to hear it a lot. What you desire is not an accident. It has come to you for a reason. And it's quite honestly probably to fulfill your purpose. So let's tap into that. My love, send those comments, share this with someone you think who could benefit from it. Listen to it again if you need to. I am here for you. I love you. I'm sending love. And remember, keep pushing through, because there's a spark in you. Bye, love.